Hi there, and welcome along. It's Roger Lee here with another Jazz Mood interview. And we've got a great interview for coming up in any moment now. Before then, got to say a quick hi to Rosalind Edmund of the Jazz Lovers Corner. I know a lot of you listening each week. Hi there to yourself. The London Jazz Scene newsletter. A very good evening, good afternoon to yourselves. We've got Jazz Across the Pond. We've got people in the United States of America, courtesy of Mr. G, Kevin Goolsby. I know you're 5 hours behind us. And of course, Jazz Moods on the Voice. So here we are, and I've got to say, first of all, a massive thank you to last week's guest artist from Texas, the lovely Alfie Renee. And you can still catch that on my Facebook, on YouTube. She's a lovely lady, very, very talented. Meanwhile, let's talk more about tonight's artist.
Hi, this is jazz saxophonist Terry Lee from California, and you are listening to Jazz Moods with Roger Lee.
So it's a very good evening and welcome along to Jazz Moods Online with our second of our interviews online. And tonight we're very, very pleased to have all the way from sunny California, the man himself, the Norwegian saxophone player, the man who's known as Terry Lee. Good evening.
How are you doing, Roger?
Hey! Massive round of applause for you.
It was great to see you. Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking. So, go on now. Make us feel jealous. What is the weather doing in California today?
Well, right now we're having an overcast, a little bit on the cool side because we have an Arctic air inundating half of the United States. We're usually sheltered from that here, but we're getting a little bit. So it's a little, maybe 65, 66 degree Fahrenheit right now, which is cool for us.
Bless you. Well, it's actually -1 degrees here, and it's snowing a little bit here. And in Scotland, it's -16. So,
oh, ouch.
So blow us some nice weather. Anyway, very good evening. Welcome along. Thank you for joining us here on there with Jazz Moods. Now, you started your career as a musician during your high school in Norway, where you come from, with a blues rock band, which
That's
you appeared as lead vocalist, not as sax player. Is that right?
Yeah, correct.
So tell us more about that then.
I woke up in the morning, but that was, I was a complete blues freak, you might say. And I was really taken by the British blues scene at the time. So we went over to London several times to see some of our heroes, at the time. We were just teenagers, but they flew over and did it anyways.
Now, I'm right in saying you did a television appearance at the tender age of 17 years old.
That's true. Yeah, that was with one of those bands. And I sang summertime, so I don't really do that intense blues singing on that performance. So because it's summertime, it's not strictly a blues tune. Yeah. But that's the same band, the same era. Yes.
Now, Norway. No disrespect, but Norway is not traditionally known for its jazz. Norway, the country, perhaps is better known for other jazz traditions. One of the hurtles into electronic noise and ambient, with not the subtlety of jazz. So, where did your love of jazz come from?
Actually, Oslo, it's still like that. It had a really strong jazz community at the time, and it was based in a renowned club called Club 7. And it's saxophonist Stan Getz even wrote a tune to Club 7 because all of the big stars came to Club 7 because we could see them. We would hang out there all the time, more like the typical European artist bohemian scene. And so we practically lived there, rehearsed in the back, we performed there. And so we have some great jazz musicians like, I'm not familiar, I don't know if you're familiar with Jan Garbarek.
No,
is a sax player. Yeah, he's probably one of the greatest sax players the past 40, 50 years. He's done a lot of ECM recordings. He's one of their main artists. So there's actually but in terms of more like bebop, American-based jazz, and also the funkier stuff, I felt I needed to go to the States to do that, and I found what I wanted in LA.
So yeah, I was going to say, what drew you to Los Angeles? Because I mean, Norway to Los Angeles, there's two totally different worlds. So what drew you there?
The beach.
Well, you're honest.
No, well, yes, absolutely, the beach. But the music, I knew that if I went to LA, I would find the musicians, well, there kind of several parts of me as, I'm an eclectic musician. So in straight ahead jazz more, then New York would be the scene, you know, to go to. But I also have that commercial side of me, more commercial, more funky kind of a thing. And I knew LA would be the perfect place because I knew I would find the musicians in LA that would play my music the way I needed to hear it and feel it. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, LA is just this gold mine of funky jazz, bass players and drummers and, you know, the key, everything. It's just fantastic.
Well, it's funny you mentioned about New York, because I know we've done our research and we know that as far as alto sax players, David Sanborn is one of your massive heroes. But then when you look at tenor sax, the names of John Coltrane, Dexter Gordon, Sonny Rollins, Joe Henderson, Wayne Shorter, all appeal as your heroes. So that's New York. And I know New York are not renowned for having very hot beaches. So you decided then to go to Los Angeles, to the West Coast.
Yep.
Now, I remember hearing an interview with the wonderful Steely Dan. And when they came out with the album Asia, they felt that the musicians in New York gave a different feel to the musicians in California. Two totally different feels. Do you agree with that?
I agree with that. But as the world has gotten smaller, it's getting a little kind of more blurred now, I think, than it used to be. You get a little more, some East Coast cats, they move to LA and spend time there and vice versa sometimes. So it's a little less delineated like that than it used to be, I think. But there's still, there's, to me, New York City, even though I don't go there very often, but last time I was there, it was still what I kind of think of as the temple of jazz. You know, I mean, the enormous amounts of jazz venues compared to anywhere else. And it's still a live scene, and a lot of young musicians in New York are into playing jazz. So it's really going on and happening still, you know, so on the West Coast, it's more of a commercial tinted kind of more funky, more contemporary jazz. And that's what I knew. I knew that before I went here. I wanted to do some of my commercial stuff in LA. And when I came out, you had kind of the styles of music being played live. That was what led to some people calling it smooth jazz later.
Now, Ed, if my research, and we've done a bit of research on yourself, and am I right in saying you actually, the fundamental part of you picking up a saxophone was after hearing a John Coltrane album of the classic "A Love Supreme"? And when you heard that, that was like a turning point of you. And
it was.
That was it. Am I right?
Yes, absolutely.
See, we've done our research. I mean, for myself, Pat Metheny, listening in the 80s, Pat Metheny, Still Live Talking. That album blew me away, and it changed the whole of my feelings towards me. So I do get that. But John Coltrane, a massive turning point in your life.
Absolutely. The guitar player in my blues band, the same guitar player that's on that taping TV thing when I was 17 years old, he said one day, he said, "Terry, you got to hear this. I got this new record." So I went to his place, and I heard it, and I heard "Love Supreme." And the first tones of Coltrane's majestic tenor sax, that was it for me. I mean, I wanted to play that saxophone after hearing the first note I ever heard played by John Coltrane.
Now, you had played the flute prior to that, haven't you?
Yes, you know, I was playing flute because of Manfred Mann, the British band from the 60s.
Yeah.
It wasn't because of Jethro Tull, whom I actually saw in 1968 live in Sunbury, by the way, the Sunbury Festival that summer. But it was Manfred Mann. They had flute on one of their hits. So that's how that got started. So I started to play flute, which later led to me being eligible to study music in college in Norway. I got music ed degrees, and the whole tenure there, my studies, they were all flute, main instrument, and So I played classical flute.
So we can thank Mr. John Coltrane for inspiring you to pick up the saxophone. Now,
yes.
You've got 3 albums out, and they are all wonderful albums, and I recommend any listener to go out and start buying them. Your first one was called The Traveller, which is a really, really nice album. There was some great strong songs. Then we move on to the Urban Collective. Now, the Urban Collective, along with your most recent one, which is
Urban Vacation.
Urban Vacation, my apologies.
Yeah.
Urban Vacation and Bright Moments. Now, this is a great one because on Urban Vacation, that's when you worked with the contemporary jazz greats of Jimmy Haslett and of course Jeff Lorber. And I've actually had a message from Jimmy Haslett said to say a big hi to you.
Oh, hey, Jimmy, thanks. Big hi back to Jimmy.
He messaged me this morning. He said he understood you were on the show with me, so he said to say a quick hi to yourself. Now, to have a record-breaking, ground, unique musical vibe, best described as groove jazz, which you've already alluded to. So
I agree on that.
About groove jazz and how you come to work with these two great men.
Well, first of all, groove jazz, I liked it better because when I play, I think my style of playing is not strictly smooth jazz. It's more, I think it's more based in straight ahead jazz, you know, that the Coltrane influence and all that stuff. So I don't really play the kind of formula smooth jazz saxophone. It's kind of like I play, it's a groovy commercial style, but my saxophone playing is more influenced, I think, by like, you know, jazz, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what we're going to do now, we're going to take a 2-minute break so the listeners can actually hear a track of yours. And I've actually selected off Bright Moments. I've picked out Big Surf, which is a lovely track. It's got a wonderful feel to it. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to listen to Bright Moments with the wonderful Terje Lee, Big Surf, and we'll be back with you in just a couple of minutes. Have a listen to this.
All right.
Yeah, that was the wonderful sounds of Terry Lee from the album Bright Moments. The track was called Big Surf. Terry, love that track. Absolutely love it.
Thank you. Thanks.
Absolutely lovely. Now, what did you learn and gain from working with Jeff and Jimmy? I mean, they produced the album, both those albums,
Yes.
and of course
Yes.
played it. What did you pick up from them?
Well, there's so many things, you know. I was just in awe of watching them both work, the way they work together, and they were, you know, like Jeff, for example. When Jeff Lower touches the keyboard, he is 150% on. When he touches the keyboard in the recording studio, he'll have the big screens in front of him and the keyboard right here in front of him. And it's right in the groove immediately. Anytime he touches the keyboard, it's always full on, completely into it and complete dedication. Yeah. And the same with Jimmy, you know, Jimmy is such an he's a genius musician. He's one of those musicians is just born like, I mean, Jimmy can play anything. You throw anything at him and he'll just pick up his bass. And here it is, the perfect thing right there. And I also think he has incredible memory. He will hear something and then he'll remember it always after. Just got the whole picture right away, just like that.
Both, I mean, and Jeff Lawler's, I mean, he's got some wonderful jazz fusion albums as well as
yes.
Oh yeah. I mean, the bit of I love on the albums. You're absolutely right. When I mean, you know, you pick that up when you listen to it. But Jeff is equally at home playing either an acoustic or he plays Fender Rhodes. There's a couple of tracks where he plays Fender Rhodes, and they're
beautiful Rhodes. Yeah, he gets maybe the best Fender Rhodes sound and recording that you'll ever hear. He has a way of getting that really clear bell-like sound with the Rhodes when it records it. You know, he's an engineer, is a recording engineer.
Right, yeah.
You like it, totally. Yeah. And he does final mixes, you know, the whole thing, you know.
Now, I know we're in COVID, the whole world's in lockdown, UK's in lockdown, hence why Jazz Void, the interview today, we're not doing it on the radio, which we would plan to, so we've had to adapt accordingly. But when you're coming out, you've done these two great albums. Well, you've got a new album coming up, new tracks coming, which we'll talk about in a moment. But do you go and tour with Jimmy and Jeff? Do you go and tour with them or not?
No, I haven't toured with them. No, I have. I use some of the recording musicians in the LA area, and I don't tour much. I haven't tried to really do that too much, actually. I've been pretty happy working on music, recording and writing, and working in LA. Sometimes I go in some areas, but I haven't really focused on touring too much. No.
No, and a lot of artists, when they come out with an album, then it's mandatory. You have to go on tour then to promote the album.
The traditional thing. Yeah.
The traditional thing. Now, also, I think I'm right in saying, up until recently, you also you're a bit of a DJ. You do a bit of a jazz show, radio show, yeah.
Yeah, I had a weekly show for 2 years, and I was a guest on the show first, and they asked me, "Hey, you want to do a show? You should ask the station manager." So that's how that happened. And then, COVID struck, and they shut down the building.
Yeah.
And after that, we got a special permission, the radio hosts, to enter the building, only just us, nobody else, from the city. But I don't want to go there yet. There's too much of COVID right now. I would not feel safe going into the studio now.
Absolutely.
So no.
Yeah, well, the Voice Radio North Devon is exactly the same, and we're all respecting that totally. So on a Wednesday night between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock, you can tune in and hear jazz music myself, but I'm not actually there. So the music is being played, and there's a selection of great jazz music. So so I don't disappoint the listeners, both here in the UK and the United States. We've adapted it to these interviews now. So there you go. Yeah. Now, tell us more about these, because you teased me by saying about you've got a couple of new tracks coming out. So tell us more about these new tracks and when they're going to be out.
Yeah, after my latest album with Jeff and Jimmy, I decided I need to do my own thing for a while. Where I'm the producer. So the one I put out previously, called Slow Pacific, that was me playing piano and sax, trumpet, all the saxophones. And I had Alex Allen bass, who was, Michael Jackson's bass player, Stevie
Yep.
Wonder, Herbie Hancock, who, everybody, and Tony Moore on drums, who's one of the best, drummers around. And he's on a lot of Lorber recordings. He's on my previous albums, or the two of them. So the next one coming up, I'm working on right now, and I may end up playing the bass too on that one. I'm not sure yet. It depends. See when we start putting all the tracks together for mixing, we'll make decisions on that. But I may bring in Tony on drums on that one too, or a percussionist. So, but that's in the pipeline, and that's an interesting one because the Slow Pacific was alto. This is tenor again. Because it was an old track that had been sitting there. One day the way I write. What inspires me when I write is mostly I sit down at the keyboard and play chords, and I come up with chords that I like. And then that inspires me and I start hearing the melody. And so I did this. I recorded the percussion track. I had the percussion track laid down. The keyboard played the bass on the keyboard, played the chords on the keyboard, recorded. And I pulled up my saxophone and just played along. And it wasn't even serious. I had my recording software running, the mic was on, and just playing along, just having fun improvising. And I didn't think much about it. And then it sat there for a couple of years, and then I listened to it. And then I listened to it again. It's like, maybe I could use that. So that is, with some new things added, is what's making up the next track coming up.
So are we looking at 2021 for release for this?
Yeah, yes.
Well, I do
I'm trying to get it out this spring or early summer. Yeah.
Okay, well, I do hope you're not going to forget us here on Jazz Moods and let us give it a good old airplay.
Of course.
Because I know the listeners will be very, very keen. Whenever I play your music, and I mean the amount of feedback and reaction I get from that, so I know they would love to listen to the new ones. Now, am I right in saying, let's see if we've done our homework correctly. Apparently food now, apparently pancakes is one of your favorite foods, is that correct?
Well, that was actually Jeff's title. He called it sexy pancakes. So that's fine with me, but I thought it would be, I wanted there to not be a particular connotation to the music. So I just said, hey, how about just pancakes? So, but it was sexy pancakes to begin with. That's Jeff's tune in one of his compositions.
I just had visions of you going down the freeways and popping into the International House with pancakes so often.
Now, they're pretty good. Yeah, they have some good food there.
Oh, yeah, they do, yeah. Now, we've spoken a lot about your music and that, and we've spoken about your love of the beaches. But outside of your musical career, what else in your life gets you excited and fulfilled?
Nature and the ocean. Nature, definitely nature. Yeah, yes. I'm into nature. I go off. I've seen, as a European too, it's been with a European background, it's been really exciting, extra exciting. I've seen all of the American West. I've been to maybe 90% of all the must-see places. Grand Canyon is just one of their areas. So I've seen it all, and camping everywhere, hiking, it's.
Oh, you really are into the nature side of things then.
Oh yeah, and California is a nature paradise. I mean, the great thing about California in the summer, you can be up at 8,000 feet in the beautiful Sierra Nevada, and you can swim in some of the lakes and in rivers. In Norway, the mountains there are not as high as that, but you go up on 2,000 or 3,000 feet in summer. Forget it; it's too cold to swim.
Have you done Alaska yet?
I've been to Alaska several times. Yeah, including way back, I worked as a cruise ship musician for a while, and I worked on cruises up there. That's how but then after that, I went up there, on other trips too. Alaska just grows on you. It's fantastic. You go there and you want to go again and you want to go again.
Well, I used to work on the cruise ships and I did 3 summers in Alaska.
Oh, then you know what I'm talking about.
So we used to leave Vancouver, Canada, go to Ketchikan.
Yeah. I love Ketchikan.
Skagway, and then all the way up to Anchorage, turn around and come back down again. So
yeah.
we're talking now. We're traveling. We're talking about travel logs. It has been an absolute pleasure. We are going to finish tonight's interview off with your wonderful track from Urban Vacation, and we're going to play Crazy Groove, which for me is such a toe tapping song.
You know, that if I have time, that tune, the funny thing about it, we did not pick that as a radio, in the States, we always put radio singles from the albums.
Yep.
We did not pick that, but then it took on a life of its own. It became really popular around stations all over the world, and including on Spotify. I think it became the most played single or track for a while, even on Jeff Lorber's own Spotify.
Right.
So that just took off, that track, but it was never an official radio track.
Now, I didn't know that, but I know that when I'm on air with the Jazz Moods, there's about 4 or 5 tracks I randomly play, and that is the track which gets the feedback from the listeners. They come in, they go, "What is that track?" And that, so it is the most requested song here in the UK as well.
We should have made an official radio track.
Exactly, yeah. This is funny how things are. Now, back to touring. You're saying you don't tour very much now, but I know you used to come over and watch the blues bands in the UK.
Well, I used to tour a lot in all over Scandinavia.
Yeah.
Until and then not as much in the States. I ended up spending a lot of time in LA so much of the time. But so my major, most part of my touring was for 10, 12 years. It started as a teenager,
Yeah.
in Scandinavia.
What about appearing in England with jazz? Have you done that yet?
No, I have not done that yet. And this is, I wanted to, I had my dreams when I was a teenager. I wanted to be one of the big blues singers at the time. And I had Fleetwood Mac, and when they were the blues band at the beginning, with Peter Green and all that, and Joe Mayall's Blues Breakers. I wanted to be a part of that scene, and I thought I could do it. But I was a kid, and I did some things that didn't take the opportunities I might have had, and I was too young to realize the business end of it. But yeah, so I wanted to be like, a blues star starting out in England when I was a teenager. Yes. So now I'm finally being introduced to the British audience through your show. Although I've been on Richard Edwards' radio show many times, but not as an this is the first time I'm in person in an interview or any kind of performance saying hi to the British.
Yeah, we've been wanting to talk to you for a while, and we've been just trying to get our diaries together to make sure we can get the dates together. So it's fabulous that we've finally done it. And I thank you very much for taking time out of your day today to talk to us.
I'm very grateful, Roger. It's absolute pleasure. I love being interviewed. I actually one of the people that likes it. I like to be on the air. I like it.
Well, so ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the wonderful Terje Lee. 3 albums out for Traveller, and Urban Vacation, Bright Moments, new one coming out, which, listening to the Jazz Moods, we will keep you posted when the new album comes out and keep you informed, and we'll start, and hopefully I may even twist your arm and allow us to have the first play in the UK.
Absolutely. Why not?
Hey, now you heard it first here.
Yeah.
This is a recording. This will be available on YouTube, via my Facebook on YouTube. You can find it, along with last week's interview with Alpha Renee from Texas. She was lovely, great interview last week. So Terry will be with us now. Next week we got Ed K.A. originally from Cuba.
Cool.
And now he's doctor of music. He'll be with us next week for an interview. But tomorrow night, Thursday night, I should say, because make sure you don't forget Mr. G and the Smooth Jazz Train out of Richmond, Virginia. He does a brilliant show. And
he's great. Yeah,
he's great. Yeah, he's a very good friend of mine. So from Jazz Moods here in the UK, Jazz Across the Pond in the United States of America, Terry, thank you so much for joining us. And we look forward to hearing more of your great music.
And thank you so much for having me, Roger. And by the way, the new track's called Flow. So you're going to see it, Flow is the title of it.
I tell you what, I can't wait to listen to it.
Yeah.
From myself and Terry, take care, look after yourself. And until next week, from Jazz Moods and Jazz Across the Pond, good night.